I've been experimenting with a version of exercise that includes oodles of self-love. And by that, what I mean is kind of a combination of like a certain meta meditation and the exercise. I've been experimenting with different forms of making sure that the exercises that I do are embodied in the sense that my sensation layer, that layer and that channel of my experience is included and taken into account, and it allows for this bottom-up self-organization of my movement in a way that is a lot more natural and tends to end up using the right kind of muscles much more easily, because the tensions and the contractions that are habitually there are much looser if I can attend to my experience in this more loving, more observing with love and wonder kind of approach. And what I ended up creating this time was an even more direct version of this, in which I was doing like a bridge exercise, and my left leg didn't really find stability on the ground to help support the pulling up my pelvis, and I just had everything lay still on the ground, and in a way that's kind of resemblant of Feldenkrais approach, which is also directed towards finding the non-doing version of movement and the freedom that is already naturally there. And that means a lot of slowness and tiny impulses that you can sense into that are already present, and learning to differentiate and choose to explore the ones that you might not otherwise give rein to. So you need to kind of slow down so that the automatic processes don't take over and you would just end up reinforcing the pattern that you already have, which is not what I want to do with most of my exercise nowadays. I want to make sure that I engage more and more of my deep muscle tissue. So in the case of my left leg, I was sensing this tension pattern and this contraction around my feet and ankles and the wobbliness. And when I tuned into the awareness that was inside the contraction, it was actually working so hard to figure out what to be doing. And it was like, oh, I'm helping, I'm trying to make this work. And by doing that, it was kind of also inhibiting all of its neighbors from getting to help out a little bit. But what I ended up doing is just sending it love for putting all this effort into trying to make sure that we stay upright, in the sense of my knees being upright, and that I might actually end up lifting my pelvis, and all that. I could very much relate to all that efforting and all that good intention, and some of the fear that was also embedded in that sensation around not really quite knowing how to make this work. So when I made that connection with the inherent meaning of that, of the fear of not knowing how and the really wanting to make this work, that relating to it allowed the love to flow even more freely. And I actually even said szeretlek in Hungarian, which is my first language, to that sensation directly as I was in contact with it. And it ended up loosening and changing and moving and shifting, and other parts of my lower leg and upper leg and behind my knees starting getting engaged in the movement. And then my whole pelvis just lifted up as if by itself in a pattern that was totally unfamiliar to me in terms of which muscles ended up being used. a lot of the stuff just was now allowed to participate and to find its way into this movement. And I like this kind of figuring things out where you allow the period of time where you don't know what's gonna happen and you don't yet know the answer. It takes time and courage, and it helps a lot if you can be there with love for the parts of you that might be afraid during that time. I very much recommend this type of movement practice.